Hello, it's Krista here with you today. I'm not sure what's up, but a lot of my latest videos have not had any views, and I'm not sure what's going on with that. Maybe I'm not doing a very good job in here, but I want to say is that I'm still in the process myself, and maybe not a lot of people do this on here, but I'm showing my own recovery as I go um, because I am practicing right now for my coaching degree in life, and also my halfway through that for my certification, and then my next one is going to be 2 certifications in alcohol and substance abuse. So you know, maybe I'm not giving very good advice out here or something, but I'm going to keep doing these because it is essential for my work anyway. With that, I am going to openly talk today about my own healing recovery process, which I think will help me better become a guide for others, because I have been through a lot of the things that other people will be going through or are going through in states of recovery for narcissistic abuse, like domestic violence, codependency, and substance and narcotic abuse. And you know, I'm just, and also life coaching, you know, to set, when we can set ourselves up from, maybe if we're at a low place where we don't know what to do and things are not working anymore, into a place where you know, we are up again and living our goals and our dreams and being a success in life, instead of feeling like a failure, and just doing a lot of work into changing oneself into you know, a better life all the way around. So I'm openly going to talk about something that has been going on. My ex and I still kind of holding on to that ex, and it's hard to break away, kind of going back and forth, on and off again. Although it is like still more towards the last of the domestic abuse cycle, where I am starting to, as I was an enabler before, and also became an addict myself, and an alcoholic on the job I used to have, where, you know, I partied on the weekends, and it seemed to help me cope with the tormenting pain and trauma issues from childhood that I never dealt with yet, which is so important to get well. And a lot of times find myself in these relationships with narcissistic men, and not only are they narcissistic, a lot of times they have substance abuse problems as well. I want to say that my last 2 boyfriends were pretty bad alcoholics. Especially my last one is probably the longest standing one, as in the last 2 I've had so far. And it can be sometimes extremely hard to leave these people, but I find in my own circumstances, as I have been doing the recovery work on myself, like getting clean and everything, you know, about almost 3 years ago now, I used methamphetamine with my ex, who, for 1 year, and then I lost all my teeth up here. We got really sick. And just, you know, I've been there, done that, and still sometimes have the urge to go to the bar. I find that even when I don't plan on drinking and I go somewhere where they are, it's hard to even be around it, number one. And number two, as soon as somebody gives me like a drink, I get triggered and then I want more. So, you know, still, I can see now why, like in AAs and stuff, they say it's really not a good idea to even hang around places like that anymore. That's why I find it difficult about my on and off ex, because still, like, that victimized codependent part of me wants something stable, and but with the more that I learn, the more that I find that a relationship with this type of man, who is not only narcissist as his father is as well, that I'm noticing, and is not well, that he really, I'm really noticing how bad his alcoholism really is. In the past, when I was still kind of in denial of it, I said to myself, and he would always say to me, well, I only have a couple beers every night. But as I watch him over these last few years, a lot of times it goes on to even more beers sometimes. And I watch him lose job after he gets drunk, and he won't tolerate people in the workforce. He thinks he's better than all that. Almost even holding a job and having other people caretake over him, like, you know, just having other enablers like his own family members, like his father, let him use his houses and stuff to live in rent free, and just people around him, and also even me myself being an enabler up to this point, and helping to cook food for him and take care of him and give them money and so on and so forth, as an enabler or a victim will do to their abusive partner. I hate to say this, but when they are using, they actually do become abusers themselves. A lot of times, you know, a lot of that emotional, like, they're not able to meet you on an emotional level, and maybe if they're more narcissistic, they might mess with your mind a little bit more, like using everything that you say against you every time you become open to them, and even when you're emotionally open to them, all of a sudden they will take whatever you say and use it and manipulate and use that against you at a later time, like act at first like they really do care about you, but then all of a sudden it gets used against you later on. These are ploys of a narcissistic as well, which can really reap havoc on another person's energy and soul levels, and emotional as well, can be devastating. Either if you are dealing with just a narcissist type of individual, cluster B, or a user, a substance abuser. So I know that I've been doing a lot of work, and as I go into my next course after the life course, which will be substance abuse, I will be learning as much as I can about, you know, going back into probably drug and abuse classes myself, and learning how to, you know, learning all about as much as I can, and gaining information and reading books. And a lot of times for us codependent enablers, we really need to learn about, we need to wake up to the fact that that these people are more than just drinking a couple beers every now and then or every night. I know that mine, I'm learning, is more of an extreme kind of like binge-aholic, where he likes to go out on the weekends as much as he can, wherever the opportunity seeks, and to go get as drunk as he can, you know, or as high as he can on marijuana, and or any other drug that he can. You know, this is the thing that I came out of after I worked as a stripper, and it was like a big party all the time in the bar, you know, using just boobs or drinks or whatever it was, just all about addictions to reach a calmer, numbing state in their lives for a while, maybe for the day, um, you know, instead of being able to find better methods and ways of coping and healing, just like kind of putting a band-aid on it all. So really kind of learning and realizing and maybe beginning to come out of that enabler stance. I know that I really have been standing up to him lately and asking him a lot of questions, even though that trauma bonding is still strong. As victims can hang on to their partners and hang on, even though when you know it's no good anymore. And you know that you've got to leave because there's just nothing good there anymore, no kind of good relationship with that person. And really what it's doing is harming you more than helping you. And that person, you cannot change that person no matter how many times you try to go in and feel sorry for them and help with their poor me victim attitudes, which they do have. Just to kind of start letting that go and accepting the fact, like, accepting yourself more, and accepting, when you can do that, the more that you can accept that you cannot change another person. You have to do that changing yourself. And also with that goes along with realizing that these people really do have a bigger problem, and they are going to have to find ways to deal with that on their own. You cannot do that for them, even though you might bend over backwards and do some kind of, weird, like, yoga crap or something, where you're just twisting all of your limbs together and it's painful. It kind of like works like that, no matter what you do, nothing ever seems to work or be good enough. Because these people have not come to that level of understanding or acceptance yet, and that's why they are drinking and tried to cope artificially as they are. And maybe they've been doing it all their lives, and it's just like such a habit to them, or maybe it's become a disease, like the alcohol, where they just cannot live without it. And I know mine has really. Since I started since I started my first AA-NA class about 2 years ago now, that's really when things kind of started falling apart. He started getting violent as I started learning more about alcoholism and things, and started confronting him about different things. And finally, during that time, had to get a PPO, move out and away from him. And even though sometimes, we had been through such trauma with the methamphetamine and the mold sickness and everything. And, you can really form traumas with these abusive, battered type of people. And it can be extremely hard to leave. That's why understanding all these things is helpful. Joining groups is helpful. And cleaning yourself up as well if you are a codependent like me, and just coming to the terms that, well, they're not going to change. And it can be really hard, So I just want to say here that when I started going to drug and alcohol classes for the first time, we separated. It just came to that separation, and because he was losing that control over me, and that I would enable his every little whim and desire, and just bend backwards for trying to please him in any way that I could to make him happy, so that I would gain some kind of happierness. But that's all an addiction as well, being addicted to someone that has control over you, to get any kind of peace or love, or maybe just not to feel lonely anymore and have someone else. You got to learn to respect yourself, have some boundaries, and really not to let them take you for granted, because they can just suck the living life out of you until there is hardly anything left, and you can't see straight, you can't think straight anymore, and you really are very confused. Breaking through that is the real thing. And in that real thing, you will find that that you might start liking yourself again when you start doing more things that you like again, instead of whatever they like and whatever they want all the time. Because they're very selfish, you know, the world revolves around them, and it continues to be more like that the longer that they do not take care of themselves, and they're always binging on something, you know, be it gambling, overworking, or whatever it is, you know. So I know that we separated, and we still kind of have been seeing each other on and off, but it's more kind of like I'm getting more of a rejection now, because I'm seeing right through that this man really does have a drinking problem, and that's a large part of the reason why he doesn't call anymore or even come back. It's like not like the cycle is repeating, the abuse cycle is repeating anymore. You know, from honeymoon to the kind of like degrading type of ignoring or whatever, you know, just invalidating yourself and your whole entire existence and your thoughts and your feelings and all of that, like, you know, crunching you down, and then like battering in the end, and then going towards what is I'm feeling right now, which is like the after the devaluing, there is the part where they will just totally reject you, and they might even leave or find another source of supply or a partner, or be it back to their drugs or whatever it is, you know. Even when you met, maybe they laid off those drugs or alcohol for a while and showed you, and cleaned up and shaved and showed you a really great time and everything, and acted normal. When that mask starts to fall off, and you do start confronting them, like, you know, I just confronted him again yesterday, because it's to the point where we're living separately, and he does not want to ever come back, and but we're just friends with benefits and things like that. Again, you're just like in that state where you're like just a used person, a person or thing that they use, and then that's all, and then they go back to their drugs or whatever source that they want, being if they find another relationship, or they find another like total ignorant enabler that does not know a thing about what they're doing. It really helps to know, because then you can stand up to them more. And it's really kind of like breaking a really solid rubber band, like made almost of more than rubber, like something a lot harder, you know. Breaking that bond is really the thing to just keep working on. I know, and just keep working on it, you know. My ex, he went back to his drinking, and he binge drinks now a lot, and so I just wanted to say that. And you know, it's going to come to the point where I'm just going to have to wake up from it all one day, and that mask is going to totally fall off, and I'm going to have to walk away. And that's what I've been working on for a long time. You know, when you're encased with people like this, and they really just kind of make you their prisoners or whatever, and keep you as more like slaves or whatever to their ever wants and needs, and pounding you down like a helpless victim. You know, no matter if even as a codependent, if you yourself are addicted to a person or sex or drugs or whatever it can be, still, you know, we can be just as addicted as that abuser as well. And it's just really amazing that but we still can come back from that. We just have to keep learning, fighting, standing up, and being strong, crying when you need it, and hurting when it hurts, but then also just to keep coming out of that, and rescuing ourselves in the end, and breaking free of those bonds and chains. And there is real freedom at the end. I feel it, I know it, and it's gonna happen. So thanks. Have a beautiful one. Peace.